So I guess to the question now of like as a teacher of poetry, so you mentioned like definitely attention is one thing you try to give to your students. Like, what are talk about just the experience of because when you're first gen you don't ever stop being first gen either,
Yeah,
right? Which
yeah,
people never
yeah,
talk about.
that's
Like
right.
you're a
Yeah,
first gen professor,
yeah, exactly.
first
Right.
gen poet, first
Yeah,
gen everything,
yeah.
and so but just what in a field where there's often discussion about can you teach poetry? Like, is it teachable? What do you try to have your students leave with when they leave your classroom?
I want them to be better readers of poetry. I think that's the thing that's the hardest to teach poets and non-poets alike. Is that I can't tell you how many times I've had poets who would come to me final semester working on their theses, and they're asking questions about, like, I don't know how to sequence this, or I don't know, and I'll ask them like, so what do you think this book is about? Like, what thematically, what do you think you're? And they have no idea. And they've been working on it for like a few years, right? And I think a lot of it comes from not being acculturated to reading lyrically. So what happens is that from childhood, we're taught about narrative. We're taught that almost organically, right? So we have a sense of what the structure of a narrative is, a sense of a structure of what a story should sound like or feel like, right? And if someone hands you a tome of a novel, it doesn't matter how big it is, you go through that tome, 900 pages, and you just read it and read and read it, and then you put a bookmark and you come back to it. But a collection of poems, it doesn't matter how thin it is. People will pick up a collection of poems and they'll flip through it and they'll start on page 83. Oh, I like that title. I'll go back and, here's something, 54, Dust. I'll try that one. And they flip back and forth. And they never really get a sense of what the book should feel like, what the arc of it is, what the experience of the read is for the reader, and what the author attempted to do with that sequence. And because they haven't had that experience and they haven't internalized that enough, then when it comes time for them to write their own book, they have no idea how to put it together. And so I don't even remember your question at this point. I'm just talking.
Teaching. What are you trying to teach the students? But
That.
to be better readers. Yeah, to be better readers.
Yeah, to be better readers. And also, I'd say to read with an annotating mind. Like, so when you're reading, you're thinking about how does this poet handle the movement of time? How does this poet handle moving between an exterior world of imagery to the interiority of a speaker? So thinking in those terms as they're reading, so that to read like a poet, to read like a writer,